Robert Edwin Rob Hall MBE was a New Zealand mountaineer best known for being head guide of a 1996 Mount Everest expedition in which he, a fellow guide, and 2 clients perished. A best-selling account of the expedition was given in John Krakauer's Into Thin Air, and the expedition has been dramatized in the 2015 film Everest. At the time of his death, Hall had just completed his 5th summit of Everest, more at that time than any other non-Sherpa mountaineer. Hall met his future wife, Jan Arnold, a New Zealand physician, during his Everest summit attempt in 1990. Hall and Arnold climbed Denali for their first date and later married. In 1993, Rob Hall summited Everest along with Arnold. In the catastrophic 1996 season, Arnold would have accompanied Hall on his Everest expedition, but she was pregnant. 2 months after Hall died on the descent from Everest as she gave birth to their daughter, Sarah Arnold Hall. In 2002, Jan Arnold remarried German cabinet maker Andreas Niemann and currently resides in Nelson, New Zealand. Mountaineering. Hall grew up in New Zealand where he climbed extensively in the Southern Alps. In 1988, Rob Hall met Gary Ball, who would become his climbing partner and close friend. As with most other mountain climbers, Hall and Gary Ball sought corporate sponsorships to fund their expeditions. The partners decided to climb the 7 summits, but upped the ante by summiting all 7 in 7 months. Starting with Everest in May, they climbed the last mountain, Antarctica's Vinson Massif, on December 12, 1990, hours before the deadline. After this success, they realized that, to retain their sponsorship, each successive climb would have to be more risky and spectacular, increasing the risk of an accident. Therefore, Hall and Ball decided to quit professional climbing and form a high-altitude guiding business. Their company, Adventure Consultants, was incorporated in 1992, and quickly became a premier expedition guiding company. That year, they successfully guided 6 clients to the top of Everest. In October 1993, Ball died of high-altitude cerebral edema, leaving Hall to run Adventure Consultants on his own. By 1996, Hall had successfully guided 39 climbers up to the top of Everest. Although the price of a guided summit attempt $65,000 a year was considerably more expensive than those offered by other expeditions, Hall's reputation for reliability and safety attracted clients from all over the world. Rob Hall was well known in the mountaineering world as the Mountain Goat, or the Show. 1996 Everest disaster. Adventure Consultants' 1996 Everest expedition consisted of 8 clients and 3 guides. Among the clients was John Krakauer, a journalist on assignment from Outside magazine. Hall had brokered a deal with Outside for advertising space in exchange for a story about the growing popularity of commercial expeditions to Everest. Shortly after midnight on May 10, 1996, the Adventure Consultants expedition began a summit attempt from Camp 4, atop the South Colonel. They were joined by climbers from Scott Fisher's Mountain Madness Company, as well as expeditions sponsored by the governments of Taiwan and India. The expeditions quickly encountered delays. Upon reaching the Hillary Step, the climbers discovered that no fixed line had been placed, and they were forced to wait for an hour while the guides installed the ropes. Because some 33 climbers were attempting the summit on the same day, and Hall and Fisher had asked their climbers to stay within 150 m of each other, there were bottlenecks at the single fixed line at the Hillary Step. Many of the climbers had not yet reached a summit by 2 p.m., the last safe time to turn around to reach Camp 4 before nightfall. Hall Sada, Angdorji Sherpa, and other climbing Sherpas waited at the summit for the clients. Near 3 p.m., they began their descent. On the way down, Angdorji encountered client Doug Hansen above the Hillary Step, and ordered him to descend. Hansen refused. When Hall arrived at the scene, he sent the Sherpas down to assist the other clients, and stated that he would remain to help Hansen, who had run out of supplementary oxygen. At 5 p.m., a blizzard struck the southwest face of Everest, diminishing visibility and obliterating the trail back to Camp 4. Shortly afterward, Hall radioed for help, saying that Hansen had fallen unconscious but was still alive. adventure consultant's guide Andy Harris began climbing to the Hillary Step at 5:30 p.m. with water and supplementary oxygen. On May 11, at 4:43 a.m., close to 12 hours after the blizzard had started, Hall radioed down and said that he was on the south summit. He reported that Harris had reached to 2 men, but that Anson had died sometime during the night and that Harris was missing as well. Hall was not breathing bottled oxygen, because his regulator was too choked with ice. By 9 a.m., Hall had fixed his oxygen mask, but indicated that his frostbitten hands and feet were making it difficult to traverse the fixed ropes. Later in the afternoon, he radioed to base camp, asking them to call his wife, Jan Arnold, on the satellite phone. During this last communication, he reassured her that he was reasonably comfortable and told her, "Sleep well, my sweetheart. Please don't worry too much." Shortly thereafter, he died, and his body was found on May 23 by mountaineers from the IMAX expedition. His body remains on the mountain. Media coverage John Krakauer published an article in Outside and a book called Into Thin Air shortly after the disaster. In both, he speculated that the delays caused by the fixed ropes, as well as the guide's decision not to enforce the 2 p.m. turnaround time, were responsible for the deaths. Krakauer was criticized by Hall's widow for publishing their last conversation. Hall's radio transmission from the summit ridge was patched through and connected to his wife at home. The transcription of Hall's final conversation with his wife was reprinted in the book. Into Thin Air, Death on Everest, a TV movie on the 1996 Everest disaster, starred Nathaniel Parker as Rob Hall. The series Seconds from Disaster published an episode about the 1996 incident called Into the Death Zone. Rob Hall's ordeal is heavily covered in the episode. The Neil Finn song The Climber was inspired by Rob Hall's death. Another documentary directed by David Breashiers, who was on Everest in 1996, Storm Over Everest, aired on PBS Frontline in 2008. A feature film based on the events, titled Everest, was developed by Working Title Films and Universal Pictures, and directed by Baltazar Kormakur. Rob Hall is portrayed by Jason Clarke. List of major climbs: 1990 Euro 7 summits, 1992 Euro K2, 1992 Euro Mount Everest, 1993 Euro Dhaulagiri, 1993 Euro Mount Everest, 1994 Euro Mount Everest, 1994 Euro Lutz, 1994 Euro Choa, 1994 Euro Makalu, 1995 Euro Choa, 1996 Euro Mount Everest. See also, List of people who died climbing Mount Everest. References. External links: Rob Hall biography, everesthistory.com, Rob Hall biography at sevensummits.com, Adventure Consultants, 2013, portrait painting of Rob Hall.